Hello, and welcome to the Retired and Living in the Cascades Trivia Quiz. Brought to you by your neighbor Maury Reese. That's me. You know, we live in the Cascades in Florida, and almost all of us are retired. And we're in our 60s, our 70s, and some of us in our 80s. We have lived full, rich lives. So let's see how much you remember from the life you've lived. Let's see how much you also know about Florida, since this is the place we call home. And I promise if you take this quiz, you're going to have some fun, and you will learn a thing or two that you didn't know about Florida, and even some facts about the community we live in. So have fun and enjoy. Here we go. Who are these guys? These used to be serials that they would show before the main movies. And the answer is, this is Abbott and Costello. Next, who is this singer? And I'll give you a hint, megaphone. He used to sing into a megaphone. That's before there were amplifiers and speakers. And his name was Rudy Valley from 1901 to 1986. Who are these guys? And your answer is Laurel and Hardy, two more comedians. What's the name of this Three Stooges character? And it's multiple choice. Is it Moe? Is it Larry? Is it Curly? Is it Buzz? It's Curly. Who is this character with that distinctive little piece of hair that always stuck up in the back? I'll give you a hint. Our gang. And his name was Alfalfa. What is this movie character's name? Not the actor. What's the character's name? And it's multiple choice. Is it Inspector Gustave, Inspector Jourdan, Inspector Clouseau, or Inspector Monet? And the answer is Inspector Clouseau, Peter Sellers, the Pink Panther. Here's your next one. Who is this and what's his horse's name? And he always wore black. His name is Hopalong Cassidy, and his horse was named Topper. Who was this woman married to? Obviously a cowboy. Yes. Here they are. She was married to Roy Rogers, because that's Dale Evans. All right. Finish this radio show introduction. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The blank blank. Fill in the blanks, and the answer is the shadow knows. The famous radio show that ran from 1937 to 1954. I remember listening to this as a kid. What 1952 movie did this famous actor star in as a clown? And in the entire movie, he never took off the clown makeup. That was part of the mystery. And his name is Jimmy Stewart. And the movie, The Greatest Show on Earth. The Lone Ranger and Tonto were once surrounded by 1,000 savage Indians, and the Lone Ranger says, "Looks like we've had it, Tonto." What did Tonto say in reply? He said, "What do you mean, we, white man?" I just had to throw that in there. It's one of my favorite jokes. What song was Elvis's first worldwide hit? Multiple choice. Was it Hound Dog, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, or All Shook Up? And the answer is Heartbreak Hotel, 1955. How much was the first Social Security payment, which was made back in 1940? And it's multiple choice. Was it $18.75, $22.54, $73.75, or $91.13? How much was that first monthly Social Security check ever issued to someone in America? And here it is, and there's the check, $22.54 to Ida Fuller, a retired teacher. Name that car. I'm going to show you a few cars, and you tell me what the brand of the car is, Ford, Chevy, Pontiac, Buick, and also tell me what year it is. And by the way, this was my first car, a 1951 Ford. You ready? What's this car? Now, there's something about this car that's very distinctive that kind of gives it away. And the answer is, that's a 1957 Buick, and it's those four little holes along the side that are classic Buick. 57 Buick. Here's the next one. Oh, this is a classic. If you're a car buff, even if you're not, most of us would recognize this classic. This is the famous 1957 Chevy, considered a real classic among car buffs. Here's your next one. Whoa, look at that big, expensive car. That's a hint. It's expensive. And what is this? This is a 1960 Lincoln. Next, look at those tail fins. This is a 1960 Plymouth Fury. Next, this one's kind of tough. You're looking at a 1962 Mercury. Next. Now, a lot of you ought to get this one. You'll get the car. You may not get the year, but a lot of you should probably get the car. This is a 1962 Studebaker. Remember Studebakers? My dad owned one, bright yellow convertible. Oh, here's another car that my father owned when I was, I think, a high school boy, somewhere in there. Grade school, high school. What is it? It's a 1959 Buick. Yeah, I was a high school freshman when my dad bought this car. Ooh, look at them tail fins. What are you looking at here? You're looking at a 1960 Plymouth. Oh, this is the car that I have lusted after most of my life. You're looking at a 1955 T-Bird. Little story here. My best friend had a girlfriend, and her father bought this car and brought it home, much to the dismay of his wife. You see, they had 5 kids, and this was the only car. His wife took one look at it and said, "No way, take that back, get rid of it, and bring a station wagon." And he did. Here you go. What are you looking at here? You're looking at the Maury and Sue, now that we're retired, car. And why do we like this car? Because we get 22 miles to the bale. That's real. Somebody really built that thing. Okay, let's talk a little football for you men. Who won the first Super Bowl? Remember the Super Bowls? They came along in our lifetime. Here you go. The Green Bay Packers back in 1967. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. What was the first AFL team to win a Super Bowl And who was the quarterback? Very famous guy, big mouth, kept predicting, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win. Nobody believed him. Who's the team? Who's the quarterback? The New York Jets, 1969. Broadway Joe, Joe Namath. He kept predicting victory. Nobody believed him. Turns out he was right. Where did pickleball get its name? And I'll give you 4 choices. It's the game inventor's nickname for his granddaughter. It's the game inventor's dog. It's the game inventor's cat. It's the game inventor's nickname for his son. Who is the pickle in pickleball? Here's your answer. It's the game inventor's dog. The doggy kept running onto the court and stealing the balls. Pickleball. Let's talk a little baseball. Here you go. Who broke Babe Ruth's home run record and in what year? We remember this well. The answer, it was Roger Maris, New York Yankees, hit 61 homers in 1961. He was a junior in high school. What's the fastest pitch recorded in a Major League Baseball game? And you have to be within 1 mile an hour. What's the fastest recorded pitch ever? What do you think? Here you go. 105.1 miles an hour. And there it is on the radar gun back in 2010, 10 years ago. Can you imagine trying to hit that? By the way, look where the pitch was. Down and in. Okay, let's talk a little golf. Got a lot of golfers that live here in the Cascades. Which guy won the Masters the most? Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus? Who won the most Masters? Your answer? Jack Nicklaus. He won 6. Arnold Palmer won 4. How long was the longest drive in golf? Now, I'm not talking about you hit the fairway or you hit the golf cart path and it rolls for half a mile. On the fly, and you have to be within 25 yards. How long is the longest drive? Guinness Book of Records says 515 yards by this guy back in 1974. Can you imagine? Which came first? The Cuban blockade or Yuri Gagarin circling the Earth, the first astronaut? Which came first? And the answer, Yuri Gagarin circled the Earth in 1962. I'm sorry, 1961. Cuban blockade was 62. 1961, Yuri. Let's look at a little television history. You were there. You used to watch this. What popular 1955 quiz show was Dr. Joyce Brothers a contestant on? And you see that her field of expertise was boxing. Caused quite a stir. Here's this pretty, very intelligent woman who's an expert on boxing. What was the show? You remember, the $64,000 question. By the way, how much would $64,000 be worth in today's dollars? Here's your answer, $616,000. So yeah, that was a big deal back then. $64,000. That's over $500,000 today. No wonder we watch this show. What TV character said, "One of these days, Alice, pow, straight to the moon"? Who kept saying that? Here's your answer. Ralph Kramer on The Honeymooners, better known as Jackie Gleason. What year did Johnny Carson start on The Tonight Show? Give you a hint, some of us were in high school. I was 1962, my senior year. What TV show was this comedian on? And I'll give you 4 choices. Was she on Golden Girls, Get Smart, Hee Haw, or Laugh-In? And your answer, Laugh-In. Goldie Hawn. By the way, here she is today. Aged a little, haven't we all? Let's talk about life here in Florida. Here's your first question. What's this beach? I took this picture, and you ought to get a hint. There's a lot of driftwood, one of the few beaches that has this driftwood, and it's down at this pass. What is it? This is Barefoot Beach, and that's Wiggins Pass that you're looking at. By the way, the water's now about 50 yards from these trees. It's backed off a long way. How many visitors does Florida get every year? Now, this is before the coronavirus. And here's your choices. Do we get 80 million, 90 million, 100 million, or 110 million visitors a year? What do you think? Your answer? We get 90 million visitors. Judging by this beach, I believe it. The Florida flag has a red cross or saltire on it. Which Catholic saint is this cross named after? Here's your choices. Is it St. Augustine, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, or St. Francis? Who is that red cross? One of the saints it's affiliated with. Here's your answer. It's the cross of St. Andrew. How did St. Augustine get its name? It was cited on the feast day of St. Augustine. That's your first. It was named after the Spanish ship San Agustin. It's named for the patron saint of Spain. Or it was named by the Catholic priest who was serving on the ship, San Agustin. Which one of those is the answer? How did it get its name? Here's your answer. It was first sighted on the feast day of St. Augustine, August 28th. That's how it got its name. In 1513, Juan Ponce de Leon named our homeland La Florida. What does that mean? You have 4 choices. Does it mean place of flavors? Does it mean the place of flowers? Does it mean the place of fountains? Or does it mean the place of fortune? La Florida. The answer? The place of flowers. What man associated with President Lincoln's assassination was imprisoned at Fort Jefferson, which is this God-forsaken little piece of island 60 miles west of Key West, out in the middle of nowhere? Who was imprisoned on this island because he was involved in President Lincoln's assassination? The answer, Dr. Samuel Mudd, who is the doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth's broken leg. The reason he was arrested is because he didn't report this for 24 hours. He was a Southern sympathizer. So as a result of that, he was tried and convicted and sent to that god-awful prison. But that's not the whole story. Here is a plaque in memory of Dr. Samuel Mudd. This plaque is at Fort Jefferson. And what happened is there was a yellow fever epidemic, and Dr. Mudd devoted himself to saving not only all the prisoners, but also all of the guards. And because of that, he was awarded a presidential pardon by President Andrew Johnson, and he was freed thanks to his effort to save the soldiers from yellow fever. The Koreshians lived not far away, just a couple of miles from where we live, and they had some unusual beliefs. Which belief was not held by the Koreshians? I'll give you 4. 3 of them are true, 1 is not. Did they believe in reincarnation? Did they believe in spiritualism? Did they believe in immortality? And did they believe in alchemy? They believed in 3 of those. Which one's not their belief? The answer, spiritualism. Here's a picture of a scientific device that the Koreshians used. What did they use this instrument to prove? Here's your 4 choices. They used it to prove that the earth is flat. They used it to prove the earth is curved and we live on its surface. They used it to prove that the sun orbits the earth. Or did they use it to prove the earth is hollow and we live inside? And the answer is the Koreshians rectilineate, I can't pronounce that, rectilineator was used to prove the earth is hollow and we live inside. And by the way, a piece of this device still exists over there in the Koreshian compound. About 6 feet of it is still in existence. What does the name Punta Gorda translate to in English? Pretty little town north of us. Does it mean pretty gourd? Does it mean fat point? Does it mean kick a goal? Or does it mean kick hard? Punta Gorda, what does it mean? Fat point. And why would they name a city like that? Because if you look at a map, Punta Gorda is a point of land, I guess they thought it was a fat point of land, that sticks out into the river and the bay. Punta Gorda, fat point. There you go. No matter where you are in Florida, you are never more than X miles from the ocean. Are you 30 miles? Are you 60 miles? Are you 90 miles? Or are you 100 miles? So if you're right here in the middle of the state, how far away from water are you at the maximum? And the answer is 60 miles. Never far away, are we? What does Florida lead the nation in? We're number 1, and I'll give you 4 choices. Are we number 1 in the longest ocean shoreline? We got a lot of that. Do we have the most freshwater lakes of any lake? Sorry, Minnesota. Do we lead the nation in lightning strikes? Got a lot of that in the summertime. Or do we lead the nation in Category 3 tornadoes? And the answer is lightning strikes, 1.2 million per year. We're number 1. That's why all of us have surge protectors on our houses. What is the Florida state bird? I'll give you 4 choices. Is it the northern mockingbird? Is it the sandpiper? Is it the cardinal? Or is it the Florida wren? Who's our state bird? Here's your answer. This guy, the northern mockingbird. And you cannot go outside and walk more than 2 blocks without encountering one of these birds. They're everywhere. And they sing in the dark at night. Lucky us. What is the Florida state flower? I'll give you 4 choices. Is it the southern rose? Beautiful flower. Is it the orange blossom? Got a lot of those. Is it the magnolia? Famous southern flower. Or is it the hydrangea? Which one of those is our state flower? And the answer is the orange blossom. Wouldn't you know? What is the Florida state insect? You probably didn't know we have one, but we do. Here's your choices. Is it the monarch butterfly? Is it the zebra longwing butterfly? Is it the dragonfly? Or is it the giant swallowtail butterfly? Which one of those is our state insect? And the answer is this guy, the zebra longwing butterfly. What is the Florida state saltwater fish? You have 4 choices. Is it the grouper? Lord knows we eat a lot of those. Is it the sailfish? Beautiful, magnificent. Is it the sea trout? Or is it the mangrove snapper? Caught a lot of those. And the answer is it's the sailfish. That's our state saltwater fish. Okay? What was the life expectancy for men in 1930 when Social Security was passed? On average, how long was a man expected to live? Here's your choices. 58 years old, 63 years old, 67 years old, 71 years old. How long did we live, men? The answer, we lived to be 58, but the retirement age was still set at 65. So the government figured, you know what? Most of the men aren't going to make it. We won't have to pay that out. Where is the Florida State Fair held? Here's your choices. Is it Jacksonville? Is it Tampa? Is it Orlando? Or Tallahassee? Where do you go to the state fair? You go here, Tampa. Next, how many hurricanes have hit Florida? And this goes back several hundred years. Even the Spanish kept some records. I'll give you choices. Is it 300 hurricanes, 400 hurricanes, 500 hurricanes, or 600 hurricanes? How many have hit us? The answer, 500, going all the way back to the 1500s. The Spanish recorded that because they lost ships that were sank in those hurricanes back then. How long is the Florida coastline? If you get in a little motorboat and you drive all around the state, how far will you go? Do you go 4,000 miles, 6,000 miles, 8,000 miles, or 10,000 miles? What do you think? Your answer? You will go 8,000 miles. And no, we are not number 1, we're number 2. Alaska's number 1. Which Florida fact is not true. I'm going to give you 4 statements. 3 of them are true, 1 is not. Here you go. Florida is the flattest state in America. There are large deposits of dinosaur fossils near Ocala. There are 1,000 golf courses in Florida. The Florida driving test doesn't require you to parallel park. 3 are true, 1 is false. Which one's false? Ready? Dinosaurs. There are no dinosaur fossils in Florida. Name this 1953 hit movie. And there's a little hint there. There is a very young, handsome Richard Burton starred in this. I stood in a line a block and a half long as a young boy to see this movie. It was that popular. What was the movie? The Robe. Where was the famous horror movie, The Creature from the Black Lagoon? Where was that filmed? It was right here in Florida. Here's your choices. Was it filmed in the Everglades? Was it filmed at Cypress Gardens? Was it filmed on Lake Okeechobee? Or was it filmed at Silver Springs? Your answer? Silver Springs, 1954. Oh, I love this movie. I was a little 10-year-old boy. This movie star also filmed in Silver Springs in 1954. Who is she? And there's a big hint because she's in the water. She's about the only woman I know that was famous for doing something in swimming pools. You remember her. Esther Williams. This actor, he also filmed at Silver Springs in the 1930s and 1940s. Who is he? Obviously playing Tarzan. And he was Johnny Weissmuller, the classic Tarzan. How high above sea level is the highest point in Florida? I'll give you 4 choices. 216 feet, 345 feet, 568 feet, 713 feet. Not very impressive, whatever it is, right? Here's your answer. Here it is. 345 feet above sea level at a little place called Britton Hill. You've probably never heard of it. It's not close to us. Here it is on the map. It is within a half a mile of being in Georgia. It's way up here. Here's Pensacola way over here. It's right up here out in the middle of nowhere. That's our highest point. What is an estero? We live in Estero. What's an estero? The answer? This thing. A tidal channel used as a drainage canal in populated areas. So congratulations. We live in a town named after a drainage ditch. Who is Fort Myers named for? Fort Myers. Who's the Myers? I'll give you 4 choices. It was the second governor, Calvin Albert Myers. It was Army Colonel Abraham Myers. It was the Confederate General Beauregard Clement Myers. Or was it Navy Admiral James Fenimore Myers? Who's Fort Myers named after? This guy. Army Colonel Abraham Myers back in 1850. By the way, the other three men, I made them up. They don't exist at all. Totally fictitious. What does the name Alico stand for? You know, we have Alico Road north of us here, just a couple of miles. Who is the Alico? Here's your choices. Is it the American Land Investment Company? Is it the Atlantic Coastline Railroad? Is it the American Lending Institute Corporation? Or is it the Atlantic Leasing Investment Corporation? Who's the Alico? Your answer? Woo woo! The Atlantic Coastline Railroad. That's what Alico is. Our tennis courts, our Cascade tennis courts, are made of hartrue, which is a crushed stone. It's not clay, it's stone. Where is hartrue mined? I'll give you 4 choices. Is it mined in the Colorado Rockies? Is it mined in the Blueridge Mountains of Virginia? Is it mined in the Appalachians of Maine? Or is it mined in the Adirondacks of New York? Where is that stone mined? Here's your answer. There it is, in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Big open pit mine. That's your tennis court. Who owns the railroad tracks that pass just west of the Cascades? I'll give you 4 choices. Is it Union Pacific? Is it Norfolk Southern? Is it the Seminole Gulf Railway? Or is it the Florida East Coast Railway? Who owns the tracks? The Seminole Gulf Railway. Which city is the most southern? And I'll give you 4 choices. Brownsville, Texas, which is located about 15 miles from where I was born. San Diego, California. I spent my last year in the Navy there. Honolulu, Hawaii. Been there half a dozen times in the Navy. Or Key West, Florida. Which one is the furthest south? And your answer is, surprisingly, Honolulu, Hawaii. Where is this pier located? And it's nearby. Is it in Naples, Bokeelia, Fort Myers, or Cape Coral? Where is this pier located? Most of you have probably seen it. It is Fort Myers Pier. Where is this restaurant located? Here's your choices. Is it in Bonita Beach? Is it on Sanibel Island? Is it in Naples? Or is it in Marco Island? Lots of you have probably eaten there. I've eaten there half a dozen times over the last 5 years. The answer is Naples. That's Tommy Bahama's in Naples. Okay, speaking of Tommy Bahama's, where is this Tommy Bahama restaurant located? Is it the Gulf Coast Town Center? Is it Coconut Point? Is it the Mercado? Or is it the Promenade at Bonita Bay? Lots of you probably eaten. I know you've walked by it. The answer, good old Coconut Point. Close by. Which business did Mr. Ben Hill Griffin make his money in? You know, Ben Hill Griffin, that road just to the east of us? Ben Hill Griffin? I'll give you 4 choices. Did he make his money in cattle? In citrus? In real estate? Or in aviation? Ben Hill Griffin. He made his money in citrus. He started with a 10-acre orange grove. What is the Florida state freshwater fish? And I'll give you 4 choices. Is it the brown trout, the largemouth bass, the spotted sunfish, or the white catfish? What's our freshwater fish for our state? Your answer? This guy, the largemouth bass. What is this Florida fish, and what does it weigh? And you must be within 25 pounds. So here's these 5 young teenage boys. They caught this fish. What is it? And how much does it weigh? Here's your answer. It's a 680-pound grouper caught by these 5 boys back in 1961. Can you imagine? Okay, can the average Cascade male outrun a 7-foot alligator for 25 yards? So here's your variables. Cascade man, man somewhere in his 60s or 70s. 7-foot alligator, not real big, not real small, 7 foot, and 25 yards. What do you think? The answer is no way. A man can run on average maybe 10 miles an hour. An alligator can hit 25 miles an hour. And he can do that for several hundred yards. You're not going to outrun him. How many lakes are in the Cascades? We have these lakes. Are there 14, 16, 18, or 19? How many little lakes do we have? Here's your map. We have 16 little lakes in our community. All right, what is unusual about Cascades Lake number 12? Here's your choices. It's the deepest. It's the smallest. It's the most hidden. It's the shallowest. What do you think? The answer? Well, there it is, right here. And it's the most hidden because notice it is completely surrounded by woods. There are no houses that look out onto this lake. You cannot see it. Over here is Cascade Isle Boulevard. It's completely surrounded. Most of us have never seen it. Most of us have no idea it's even there. But there he is. Which Florida county has the highest percentage of obese people? Lee County or Collier County? What do you think? Who has more obese people? Here you go. This guy beat anorexia. Yes, he did. And the answer is Lee County has 26% obese and Collier County has 21%. So Lee County has the most. Which city has the highest percentage of retirees? Pittsburgh, Tampa, Tucson. The people that live there, they retire there. It's not people that come there to live. It's you live there, you retire there. What do you think? Here you go. Tampa, 23.5% of its residents retire there. Tucson, 14.3%. Apparently the old people don't like the heat. And the winner is Pittsburgh with 23.6% of its citizens retire right there. I guess they like the beaches and the mountains, huh? Okay. According to U.S. News and World Report, which city is ranked number 1 to retire in? Is it Fort Myers, Naples, Cape Coral, or Tampa? Where do people want to retire, according to this magazine? Your answer, Fort Myers. Nice picture of it. We're done. How did you do? Did you have fun? I hope you learned something. Thank you for playing my game. Be well.